What are we doing?
Another DataMiner Kata.
Let's go. Hello and welcome to another Bringing the Thunder. We have another nice exercise, Kata, ready here for you to go ahead and try. It's a very fun one. I think it's DCF, right? We're continuing on the topic of DCF, and that's really exciting because that actually came forth a little bit out of some feedback we got from you guys. So someone sent in the Thunder at Sky.be, hey, we'd love to hear a bit more about DCF. We've seen the previous one. Can you do another one? Well, here it is. So thank you, audience, for giving us some suggestions. So today with us to actually explain and show us this advanced DCF, I suppose, or at least a continuation of it. We've got Miguel here with us again. So tell us a little bit, in case people are watching for the first time, who are you and what do you do here at Skyline?
Yeah, I am currently architect working specifically on EPM solutions. EPM stands for Enhanced and Performance and Management. Yeah. So basically what we do is working with integrations that implies monitoring if not 1,000 million devices.
In a massive amount of devices,
When you go with that approach, you need to take care of the integration will be a bit different. So you will not have the classical one-to-one relationship in DataMiner where you have one element in your system, on your platform.
Just one device.
One device, no. There will be a different implementation there. And then we can,
So very extensive architectures there to actually be able to do a lot with our system with a many amount of devices. So very cool. Topic of today, DCF.
Indeed. So this is just a continuation of a previous Kata session that we did for DCF. So, and also I will try to merge also some features that I discussed on the topic of Node Edge as well.
Okay, yes. Node Edge, we also have a few tutorials on that, indeed.
So so the idea is to combine these two previous Kata sessions with this one where I will go a bit deep with DCF. And then I will explore some features about DCF. I will not be able to cover all of them, but then I will try to focus on properties, which is something that is nice to use, and that you can use different features, for example, in Visio or in dashboards to showcase that.
So DCF properties is going to be a very big topic today, and it's kind of like a baseline or a base. The basis you need for a lot of other features and things.
Indeed.
That work on DCF.
Indeed.
Awesome.
So before to jump, let me do a quick recap of what we did last time. What we discussed about last time.
Okay.
First of all, DCF. DCF stands for DataMiner Connectivity Framework. So as the name suggests, it's a framework that allows you to implement connections between components in DataMiner. So for example, if you have devices on your field that are connected to each other, you can integrate that connectivity into DataMiner using DCF. As I mentioned in the previous Kata session, there are two types of interfaces, external and internal, right? So internal are basically connections that you can do in the same device. No, you have an input in the same device, you can connect to an output in the same device. Indeed, for example, classical example is routers. Indeed, so you have the source and destination. But in this case, where our focus is more on external connections, where you connect a device, an element, an element connection from input from an element, output an element to an input from a different element. Okay, so this is DCF. And the last time I just showcased how to manually draw your connection lines, how you define your connection lines. Now I will go a step further, and I will show you some provisioning mechanisms that you can use to provision not only connections, also properties.
Okay, so like more of a bulk provisioning instead of having to manually say connect A with B, C with D, E with F. You can have like some kind of file or something that you input and it'll burp.
Indeed.
Magical. So, okay. So that when people want to follow along, do they need to install something? Is there a prerequisite for this tutorial?
Indeed. So if you go to the catalog, if you look for Kata DCF, you should be able to install the latest version. Okay. And that one, of course, if you have DOS, all the features that will be used here will be available, so you can use it and you can follow up.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
So once you install the package, you will have some scripts that you can use to automate the process of the creation of the elements on my exercise, or in this case on this demo. I already did that, so I have this Kata DCF.
All right.
This
so
is exactly the same as I did in the previous Kata session.
yes. So you just run that one just to finalize the setup,
Indeed.
making some elements, making some views and stuff.
Indeed.
Okay.
Something extra that I did, that we did here, that is the difference with the previous version, is that apart from creating the elements that I will use for my connections, I am also setting up this guy over here, which is the Skyline generic provisioning connector. And I believe you worked on that before.
I have worked on that indeed.
So
yes. A few years ago by now, but
yeah.
Yep.
So then I'm reusing things that you can't currently use for this kind of provisioning.
okay,
So
perfect.
okay, of course there are other ways to do this provisioning. You have IDP also for that.
Yes.
But in this case, I will try to focus on this kind of specific cases where IDP is not included, but of course just showing or just explaining all the
For
possible
sure.
ways.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I provision my DMA with that automation script, you will be able to see all these elements. You will be able to see this nice overview with all the elements that I have here that I want to connect.
Without connections, without
Indeed.
interfaces.
Indeed. In the previous session, what we did is we went here properties, and here in connectivity.
And we did it manually.
And we did manually.
Yes.
All right. So now I will use this element
Provisioning element.
that will do all this magic in one single click.
Cool.
If I click import, what it's doing here is importing the connection that is coming on a file. Okay?
Right, and that's probably included in the DMAP. So when you
Indeed.
install that, you'll have that file for this particular exercise.
Indeed. So if I go to documents and Kata DCF, you will have this folder, and then you will have all the files that we will use for our demo here. Okay.
Cool.
So then, I need now to press the button.
All right.
Import.
Okay. Drum roll moment.
I hope so. Everything works.
Yes.
It works. Now, if I go to the, just let me close and open again.
Okay. Refresh the UI there.
Aha.
There we go.
There we go. So then automatically I have all these
All these connections are in there.
So then what I'm showing you here is that there are automation scripts. There are methods that allows you to do this kind of provisioning automatically.
Yeah. So not necessarily using that particular connector or element.
Indeed.
In the background, that uses the same thing IDP uses, and you could make your own automation script or any script pretty much reusing those calls in the background. So you can use that as an example, have a look at the source code and see how it's done. If you are a developer and you want to play around with it, that's cool.
Indeed. Now let's jump a bit deep on DCF.
Sure.
Okay. So let's go to any element, for example, this one, where I will find the details about DCF and element. You will need to go to general parameters and then go to configure here. DataMiner
DCF, DataMiner Connectivity Framework. Yes.
And here you will find all the information related to your...
okay, so that's everything DCF for that element.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, so for example, here you have the interfaces. Okay, these interfaces are exposed by the driver. So when the driver or the connector expose DCF interfaces, you will have these rows in this table.
Right.
Okay. So for example, what I see here is all these 4 rows that you see here are coming from this table over here.
Yes.
Okay. So imagine that you have multiple tables that you want to expose interfaces. Does it mean that you will have another table? No. Everything will be defined here in the same
just
table.
additional rows in that table.
Okay. So how you make the distinction?
Yeah. How do you see where it comes from?
The parameter group. So that's the same something in the driver. That I will not go into details, but then you have the parameter group that will tell you where these specific instances or rows are coming from.
Okay. And that's a column then in that table probably.
Yes, indeed. If I go here, the dynamic link.
It's hidden.
Yeah. So then what do you have here? This concatenation The one implies the parameter group, and the other number represents the instance of that row in the interface table.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, and that's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
So then let's go to properties. Where is my properties? So for that one, I go to automation, and in the package you will find this script called Kata DCF Advanced,
Okay.
where I just put all the logic required to provision interface properties from a file, from a CSV file.
Okay. So it's a bit similar to that connector.
Indeed.
Could you use the connector as well, or?
Yes, but
Different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is just showing you can use the same calls that the connector does, but you can do it from an automation.
So I try to provide different scripts with different ways to do it. So then you can pre-use it on your.
Yeah. You can play around with it, have a look at the source code, how it all works. Cool.
And it's the same principle as we discussed. That there's a CSV file that you can find it in documents here, Kata DCF, and here I have DCF interface properties.
Okay, so that automation script is going to read that one out.
Yeah.
And then it's going to showcase what it does. Okay.
Yeah. Just give me 1 second. I would like to open this guy over here, so then you can see the interface properties here.
Right.
Okay. So it's just a plain CSV file where you see the element name, the interface name, and then my property name, the property value, and
the value. Okay, cool.
Okay. Sorry, the property type and the value.
Yeah.
Okay. In this case, I will focus on the property value.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, if I go again to my router, and if I click already,
Well, you haven't. I think you need to execute this. Yeah.
Yeah. So then
We got distracted by the explanation and forgot to click. Okay, so this guy is now creating those properties, all those different elements. So I'm gonna guess then if we go back, once it's provisioned, if we go back to those tables, we're gonna see those filled in.
Indeed.
Yeah. There we go.
Is there here?
Yeah, so the bandwidth is a property that we're gonna be using here.
Yes. So here, as I mentioned, as you saw in the CSV file, I will provision a property called bandwidth with a specific value here. Okay.
Yeah.
And the link you see here is the link to the interface ID you have here. So I know that this property corresponds
matches with that interface.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. This is about interface properties. Now let's go to connections. In connections, as you can see here, I have 2 connections that represent the 2 connections that I have in my let me choose.
Yeah, the Visio showed it, I think. Those the big ones there at the top. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then if I go again to my router and go to the parameters, and if I go to the configure, and then you will see it over there.
Yeah.
Okay. And on top of that, we provision some connection properties.
Yeah, I see the label there.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is 2 things that we want to showcase here. You can assign or you can define properties for DCF interfaces,
right,
and also for connections. This information you can ingest it from an CSV file or from a database, depending on your integration, or also can be provisioned by the driver itself. Okay.
Right.
But normally for this kind of integration, we try to also do it externally. Why? Because for your use case, you can have connection property A, and for another user can have a different type of connection. So if we try to implement all this type of functionality in the same driver, could be a bit tricky.
Could be confusing, because we are reusing those connectors in different setups, and different setups might have different labels or values or things. So
even the same property can have a different meaning depending on the use case.
Yes, okay. So that's an externally provisioned thing. That is using tooling like this.
That's what we try to do it externally, and what we showcase here.
What can we do with these properties? So you see them in those tables, but I'm gonna guess there's some functionality that triggers. You said in the beginning it's like we said it's like the base for a lot of features and a lot of fun stuff.
So then I have already my connections here.
Yes.
So then let's go a bit deep. And for example, something extra that you can do with DCF here is that you can showcase or you can display the stability of your interface. So here, for example, I see that this green line that represents that my connection between these two interfaces are okay.
Okay.
If, for example, I generate an alarm,
Okay, so it's it's linked to the alarm level of that row. So if
Indeed.
it goes critical or maybe critical, the color changes automatically and it's
so the color of the connection will display the highest severity between these two interfaces.
all right. So if the other, if one would be minor and the other one is critical, it will show critical.
Indeed.
Okay.
Okay, this is related to DCF in general. That's we would like to showcase apart from the standard representation that we did last time.
Yes.
Okay, apart from that, and something here comes interesting that you can click over here, for example, and then you can see the
Those property values with the label that we saw, and then both interfaces, their properties as well. I see.
Yeah.
Bandwidth.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So that's something that we did, and especially we make a different value. Why? Because we want to make that distinction. And for example, in this case, this switch is 1 gig, and then this router is 10 gig. Why we did that? Yeah, if what will be the actual bandwidth or the actual traffic that you can have here will be 1 gig, because it's always
minimum.
after negotiation, it will be the minimum.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that actually gives you that information, so you could even put alarming on things on that.
Yes.
To actually say, hey, you've connected one Ethernet port that's 10 gigs with another one that's 1 gig, so
You can.
that works, but it's not going to be the most efficient than if you were to do 10-10.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, fun.
And then apart from that, you have something extra that is connection properties. So then, for example, with connection properties, you can display, you can do some conditional display in the Visio file. In this
Okay.
case. So for example, here, if my connection property label is equal to A, I will show this color over here, this purple color.
I see.
If the connection property label is equal to B, I will show this. So, and that is what I tried to do with the connection properties. So
So that one, and if that label would change dynamically the value, it would also work to change the color. So you can do a lot of things just with that.
Indeed. So this is what we try to do here, is trying to just show us the most, I would say, features, the most used features on DCF. I will not try to cover all of them because
There's not. But these are good. These are already good. It is indeed a very extendable feature. There's a lot of stuff behind DCF, and you can do a lot with it.
Yeah.
But even these simple ones already open a world of amazing things you can do with it.
Yeah. If you want to play around, you can just click on edit the Visio file, and then
and if you have Visio installed,
if you have Visio installed, you will be able to see.
Yeah, it'll open it up and
then you can see how that has been implemented.
Yeah. Okay.
So now let's jump to another feature, a nice feature that we can use for DCF, and it's dashboards. So if I go to dashboards, let's go to dashboard here.
Because we saw a bit on that. I think in a previous one, the node edge was a component in there, right?
Indeed, and also we saw it in Kata DCF as well.
Yes,
so we are using exactly the same diagram.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So that's in order to show what else we can do.
Yeah. So we're building upon what we already had to play with.
Yeah. Indeed.
Love it.
So now you see an empty canvas.
Yes.
And what you need to do here, you can pause and then go to the Kata session.h. And then you will find all the steps that you can do to build your node edge diagram.
Yeah.
Okay. So once you do that, you will have something like.
All right. So So prerequisite here is to do the other one. So you have that basic node edge diagram we are looking at right now.
Indeed. So once you do that, and please use the Kata DCF Advanced.
Okay.
Why? Because the Kata DCF Advanced has the GUI queries that we implemented for this dashboard has more information than the previous one. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is the idea. So the previous one, the Kata DCF, has the old queries that has been used for the previous sessions.
The simple one where we say, okay, we've shown you the simple part, and this is already a lot and amazing.
Yeah.
Now we're going into some advanced functionality, and that needs a bit more information, a bit more.
Indeed.
The properties I'm going to.
Indeed. That is the idea.
I'm guessing here, but
So then So you have here your nice Node Edge diagram.
Yes.
Something extra that I would like to showcase here is a nice feature.
Okay.
By the way, just quickly.
Well, these are often the most fun ones, those quick in-betweens, because you love them.
So then,
Okay.
now there is an option linked to data,
Okay.
where, for example, here,
That's fancy.
yeah, so
What am I looking at?
these positions are coming from a file that contains the positions of the nodes.
Ah, okay.
Yes. So I can define in a file or in a driver as well, or an element. I can define the positions of my nodes, and based on that, I can position these nodes in my node edge diagram.
All right. So instead of the standard flow where we had that pyramid structure from
Yes.
top down, pretty much, you can actually use a file. Ah, yeah, I see that. So you can use some coordinates there,
Exactly.
and those are, now they're in a file, but if
Yeah.
they're in an element, you can
Yeah.
quickly change them, and based on whatever function. Okay,
You can-
powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very powerful.
It's really nice. So that's just something quickly to showcase.
yeah.
Okay, let's go back to our
Standard
implementation. So then what we can do here with properties. So let's do something interesting. First of all, if I click over here, I will see a lot of data that probably I'm not interested, a lot of IDs that, maybe.
Yeah. So it fills up with a lot of default information
Indeed.
in that pop-up.
So then something that we discussed in a previous Kata sessions is that you can define or you can filter out what information should be displayed here. So as you remember, this node edge diagram is built from two queries, the nodes and the edges, no? The
Yes.
nodes are the connections.
Yes.
So here, what I can do is this DCF connection, this is the query I use for the connections. I can just drag and drop the things that I want to see. For example, I want to see the port name and I want to see the bandwidth, which was a property that I would define before.
Yeah.
And for example, I can display also the operational state and the bitrate.
So you're just dragging them on that entire component.
Indeed. So then
Okay.
if I click here, I just able to see.
Okay. Okay. Without really configuring, just drag drop on the component and it knows.
Only the KPIs that I am interested.
Okay. Fun.
Now, let's do something else. Let's use a query filter. What a query filter allows you to do is to filter your node edge diagram based on a specific column.
Ah, okay. So you might say, I want to see everything connection label A
Yeah.
or label B or bandwidth 10, bandwidth 1.
Yeah, so let's do something like that. So let's, for example, here, put our DCF connections here to do the filter with
Yes.
node edge. If you do that, what you will see is you will see all the labels, all the columns. But then, I don't like to do filtering based on ID because I will not remember by heart all the IDs.
Yeah, the element
So
IDs are
let's put
internal.
something simple, just a bandwidth. Okay, nice. And then I need to do the connection between my filter and the node edge.
Yeah.
How to do that?
Because you've got two components now, and they need to know about each other.
Indeed. Now, keep in mind that recently there was a change. In the past, this was called fit. Now this is called components. Okay.
Yes.
And then if I drag and drop this here, that was my query filter here. And then, okay, hey, but do I remember by heart the bandwidth? I can do something easy. I can something nice, which is I can go here on my bandwidth, on my query filter, click on my query filter, and then click on filter assistance. So then,
Filter assistance. Oh, cool.
so then I can see only the values that are defined.
So it's clever enough to figure out, these were the discrete values that were set up, or the ability, the ones that are possible.
Yeah. So then, for example, if I click here, you see that only the interfaces that has 1 gig are highlighted.
All right, and it highlights an interface as half of a connection, or a half of an edge, or whatever you want to call it.
Because we are doing the filtering based on the interface property.
Okay.
So this is one nice thing that you can do.
That's already fun.
Something else that you can do that is also nice is I duplicate my DCF, my dashboard.
The entire dashboard,
So
copy now.
Let's remove this. For example, let's remove the node edge for a moment.
All right.
And let's do something else. Let's use grid component. What is my grid component here?
And grid components.
So, for example, in the grid component, I will not use, for example, the connections. I will use, for example, the interfaces.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That was your filter now.
Yeah, indeed. So, so here, let me just put here the interfaces. So as you can see, I use the interfaces
As a
query
filter?
filter and also in my grid.
You just say, show me all the interfaces.
Indeed. So for example, here, what I can do here, I can just go to the layout and then go to my template editor.
Mm-hmm.
And then, for example, here I can say, let's add another text because only the port name for me doesn't say too much. Let's put here the element name.
Okay. So you can also define in that grid overview what you actually want to show from that DCF information.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for example, I want to see the bandwidth, but maybe let's do something else. I will not put here the bandwidth, but I will do the filter from here for the bandwidth. For some reason, it's not showing. Let me just refresh.
Give him a quick refresh. Why did you drop the link on there?
I believe so. Yes, it's there. Just let me quickly refresh.
Yeah.
And see again why it's not working.
Maybe we need to reconnect and it's the...
Let's remove it and let's do it again. Let's do something. Let's just here put...
We are trying to reuse the same component that was linked to the previous one. But okay, that
for some reason was not showing all of them, but then I can, if I put a filter, I can see the interface.
Yes.
The bandwidth in this case.
Mm-hmm.
So then what I need to do as before, I need to do a component here, and then the component will be the query filter that goes to my grid. Okay. And then, for example, again, if I want to showcase I want to show that filter assistance, I want to see all the values.
These are the options.
And then if I just click here, you see that.
Yeah, it should filter. There we go. Nice. So it gives you just the interfaces that are 10 gigs because you've 10 Gbps.
Yeah. And then here you can go crazy. You can, for example, change the background that represents the color of the element. Or the color of the interface.
Seen a lot of... Well, this is a dashboard, but it's a lot of the editor is low-code apps, and we've seen a lot of that as well. So you can apply all that nice formatting and layout functionality there. Pretty fun.
Okay, so this is in essence what you can do with DCF interface properties. Yeah, with connection you can do also other things as well.
Okay.
But yeah, that is in general you can do.
Amazing. Is there a point where they should take a screenshot if they've been following along? Something that we say, okay, well, this is a good point where you take a screenshot of that, and then we're happy you've done the exercise. You can get some DevOps points.
Yeah, we can, for example, do this grid implementation so that you can do the filtering based on the bandwidth interface property. I think that will be a nice exercise.
Right.
Okay.
Well, sure. So yeah, if you've been following along, feel free to take a screenshot of this particular screen here where you can see the grid component and that filtering we set up. And yeah, if you send that in, we'll give you your DevOps points for that. Miguel, was there any other thing you wanted to bring up for this specific Kata, or?
No. I mean, I can show.
There's a lot of stuff.
There are a lot of things, but I prefer, maybe for another session, maybe where I can put more things. But
yeah, for sure. I mean, you're always welcome for another session. I think these are amazing, and we've seen a lot of additions to what we already saw. If everyone watching, if you are also very interested in this topic of DCF, don't hesitate to let us know through thunder@skyline.be. Send us a little note saying if you're hoping to get more information on anything in particular DataMiner. Always happy to listen. So, Miguel, thank you very much for making time. For showing us this, for building this tutorial. Again, it was very awesome. For everyone watching from YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that little bell so you're always aware whenever we have a new video for you. And other than that, well, I guess I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye.